Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindubhayavacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we're covering the Caitanya Caritamrta, Madhya Lila, and we're on chapter 15.
我们这几天讲的是 Caitanya Caritamrta 中篇逍遥，中期逍遥第15章的内容。
Lord Caitanya is saying goodbye to the devotees from Bengal because they'd all come to Jagannath Puri to visit him, and they stayed for 4 months of the Chaturmasya, and after the Chaturmasya they would get ready to go back to Bengal.
孟加拉的奉献者们来到加纳普里待了4个月，然后在沙图玛夏4月苦行之后呢，他们又准备返回孟加拉了。
So Lord Chaitanya wants to give them some instructions before they go.
所以在他们返回孟加拉之前，主柴坦尼亚就希望给他们一些教导。
But there were 2 devotees. They came to Lord Chaitanya and they had a question. They asked Lord Chaitanya.
但是有两位奉献者呢，他们就来找到主柴坦尼亚，向他提出了问题。
And they said, we are householders and we're materialistic people. We don't know the process of advancing in spiritual life.
他们就坦言说，我们都是物质主义的居士，我们想知道在灵性生活当中进步的方法是什么。
So Lord Chaitanya told them, you have to constantly chant the holy name, and wherever possible, you should serve the Vaishnavas.
柴坦尼亚就告诉这2位巴什纳瓦说，你们应当常常的唱诵圣名，而且一旦有可能的话，应当去服务巴什纳瓦们。
So when the devotees heard this, that 2 devotees, they asked Lord Chaitanya, how can we recognize who is a Vaishnava?
这2位奉献者听了这番回答之后，又问道，我们怎么能认出谁是一位 Vaishnava 呢？
So Lord Chaitanya replied, whoever chants the holy name of Krishna, even just once, is worshipable, and he is the best of human beings.
柴坦尼亚回答说，无论谁，即便是只是吟诵了 Krishna 的圣名1次，那么这样的人也是值得崇拜的，他也是人类当中的佼佼者。
Then Lord Chaitanya went on to explain, he said, just by chanting the holy name of Krishna once, a person can be freed from all the reactions of his sins.
柴坦尼亚继续解释说道，倘若仅唱诵 Krishna 的圣名1次，这个人就能摆脱所有罪恶生活的反应了。
So this has to be understood carefully.
所以要小心的来理解这句话。
It means that if you chant you may just chant 1 time, but you have to chant without any offenses. You have to chant the pure name, and then you get free from all sinful reactions.
意思就是说，即便唱诵1次，但是这1次的念诵必须是没有冒犯的，并且是唱诵了纯粹的圣名，这样才可以摆脱所有的罪恶反应。
There are 9 processes of devotional service.
奉献服务有9种，
We know, beginning with hearing and chanting and remembering.
这9种奉献服务始于聆听、唱诵和意念。
And then offering prayers, and then worshipping the deity.
供奉祷文，崇拜神像。
Serving the lotus feet of the Lord.
服务主的莲花足。
Being the friend of the Lord.
与主为友。
Giving service to the Lord.
服务主。
And surrendering everything to Him.
将一切臣服给他。
So these are the 9 items of devotional service, and that's the topmost level, that's the perfection of life, to be able to engage in these activities.
这便是9项奉献服务，能够从事这些活动，人生就达到了完美境界了。
And just by chanting the holy name, we can engage in these activities. Haribol? Guru Mani? Oh. Guru Mani?
Hare Krishna Gurudev，他的掉线呢，我们等他一下。
北京有掉线。
北京也掉线了。
我们也有掉线吗？
我们这里还好，他是掉线了，他现在正在重新登录。
OK。
Guru Mani Mother 姐，我已经把你设为主持人了，你现在可以开麦了。
好的。Sorry， 不知道为什么我的电脑突然就死机了。OK。Sorry，my computer suddenly shut up. I don't know why.
Okay.
Yes, just now you mentioned that just by chanting the holy name, that one can engage in all these 9 devotional service.
Yes.
刚才Guru 就讲到，仅是通过唱诵圣名，人就可以来从事这9项奉爱服务了。
And one time chanting the holy name can destroy all of our sinful reactions.
而且是即便是唱诵圣名1遍，也可以摧毁我们所有的罪恶反应。
But we have to chant the holy name without any offense.
但是前提是我们必须是没有冒犯的来唱诵这1遍圣名。
Anybody who can chant the holy name without offense, he's very great devotee and we should worship him.
任何人能够没有冒犯的唱诵圣名，那么他是一个伟大的奉献者，我们应该崇拜他。
And when we chant the holy name without offense, then we can perform all these 9 activities of devotional service.
当我们没有冒犯的唱诵圣名的时候，就可以从事这9项奉爱服务了。
So of the 9 processes of devotional service, Kirtan is very important.
在这9项奉爱服务当中 ，Kirtan 是非常重要的。
Now other processes like offering prayers and worshipping the deity and serving and being the friend, they should also be done.
其他的奉献服务，例如向主献上祈祷，服务主，与主为友，这些服务也都要去做。
But they should be, before we do them, we should do kirtan, and after we do them, after we complete performing these activities, then again we should do kirtan.
但是在做这些服务之前，我们要进行 kirtan， 在完成这些服务之后，也要进行 kirtan。
Just like in our temples, we always have arti and we have offerings and dressing the deities. So all these activities, before we do them and after we do them, there's kirtan. There's always chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra.
就像在庙宇当中，当我们做了 arti 灯仪，供奉，在做这些活动之前呢，我们要做 arti， 而且在做他们之前，我们要 kirtan， 在之后我们也要 kirtan。
Kirtan can be giving class, that's also kirtan. It's not necessary you have to give kirtan with madanga and kartals, but you give a class, you have a class, that's also kirtan.
Kirtan 并不单纯的意味着就要演奏每当家鼓或者是打挠鼓，这叫 kirtan。讲课也属于 kirtan。
Just to speak the glories of the Lord, that is kirtan.
仅仅是讲述主的荣耀，这就是 kirtan。
And discussing topics of Krishna, that is kirtan.
讨论有关 Krishna 的话题，也算作是 kirtan。
And we're having a lot of kirtan this week. We're having all these classes, this is all kirtan.
我们这一周就做了许许多的 kirtan， 因为我们这一周讲了很多的课程，这就算作是 kirtan。
Okay, now we're going to go on. There's a very important text coming up in the Caitanya Caritamrta. Everyone should take a note of it. It's text number 108 in the 15th chapter of Madhya Lila.
好，接下来呢，我们要讲述的这个诗节是非常重要的诗节，每个人都应该拿出纸和笔来做笔记。这个诗节是 Caitanya Caritamrta 中期逍遥的第15篇的诗节108诗节。
Lord Caitanya is instructing these 2 devotees who had asked him about how to make advancement.
主Caitanya就教导了这2位奉献者，这2位奉献者向主询问有关于灵性进步的话题。
2 devotees said, we're householders, we're very materialistic, how can we progress?
2位奉献者就谦卑地说，我们都是居士，我们特别的物质化，然而我们怎么取得进步呢？
And Lord Caitanya said, you have to constantly chant the holy name, and you should take every opportunity you can to give service to the devotees.
主Caitanya就教导他们，你们应当常常的唱诵圣名，而且一旦有机会，就要服务奉献者。
So then they asked how to recognize the devotee, and Lord Caitanya said, anybody who chants the holy name even one time, he's a devotee.
紧接着2位奉献者又问，我们怎么才能认出谁是奉献者呢？主Caitanya就说，任何人倘若只唱诵1遍 Krishna 的名字，就能够算作是奉献者了。
So now Lord Caitanya is describing more about how to recognize a devotee.
接下来呢，主Caitanya就更进一步来指出 如何认出谁是奉献者。
He said one does not have to take initiation.
就柴特尼亚说，一个人无需一定要经过启迪。
And he doesn't have to perform all the activities which are required before initiation.
而且这个人也无需一定要去执行在启迪之前去执行所有那些所需要的活动。
He only has to chant the holy name with his lips.
他只需要用他的唇齿来发出圣名的音震。
Then even a man in the lowest class, in the lowest social position, he can be delivered.
那么即便是一个处在最低级的社会地位上的人，也可以得到救赎了。
So some people, they read this verse and they think, oh, I don't need to get initiated. I just have to chant the holy name.
有的人读到了这个诗节了，然后他就感到松了口气，说：“哦，那我就不用启迪了，我就唱诵圣名就好了。”
But you cannot just chant the holy name. You will do so many other things besides chant the holy name.
但是，您并不是总在唱诵圣名，除了唱圣名之外，您还在做着其他的事儿。
You're going to want to, sometimes you will want to read the scriptures.
有的时候呢，也想去读读经典。
Sometimes you will want to do cooking and worship the deity.
有的时候您也想，为主做饭，或者是崇拜神像。
We cannot imitate Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur, he could just chant the holy name.
我们不能单纯的模仿哈尔达斯塔库，哈尔达斯塔库是可以，只是在那唱诵圣名。
He was chanting every day 3 lakhs names every day.
哈尔达斯塔库每天都吟诵一唱圣名30万遍。
So it would take practically more than 20 hours every day.
那几乎是每天要花20个小时以上用在唱诵圣名了。
Because 3 lakh names means 192 rounds.
30万遍圣名就相当于192圈。
That's like 3 times 64.
就是三个64圈。
So if you've chanted 64 rounds, and usually to chant 64 rounds, it will take at least 6 hours to chant.
一般而言呢，唱诵64圈，至少要花6个小时的时间。
To chant 16 rounds, we need about 2 hours.
因为要念诵16圈，我们需要2个小时的时间。
So to chant 64 rounds, we will need 4 times that. We'll need 8 hours.
那么如果要念诵64圈的话，那么就要2乘以4，就8个小时。
And so you're going to chant, that's 1 lakh, that's 64 rounds, but we want to chant 192 rounds, so you need the whole day to chant.
所以64圈呢，就是10万遍圣名。那么念诵192圈，几乎就是花了1整天的时间。
So not easy to do that kind of thing, to just chant the holy name. We cannot imitate Haridas Thakur.
所以这么做可不容易，我们可不能模仿哈尔达斯塔库。
Haridas Thakur didn't need initiation because he just chanted the holy name.
哈尔达斯塔库不需要启迪，因为他仅仅是唱诵圣名。
But we're following Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada tells us we won't be able to do that kind of thing. We cannot just simply sit and chant the holy name. So he told us we should preach.
真的怕不怕告诉我们，我们不能只是坐在那里唱诵圣名，我们要去传播。
And if we're going to preach, then people will ask you, who's your guru?
如果我们去传播的话，人们就会问我们，你的 guru 是谁呀？
And you say, no, I don't have a guru, I'm just chanting the holy name, I'm not initiated.
然后你就问他说，我没有 guru， 我只是唱诵圣名，我还没启迪。
But you're going preaching. That means you're not just chanting the holy name.
可是你现在做的事儿，就是在传播呀，那么就意味着你并没有在那仅仅是坐在那唱诵圣名啊。
And if you're going to worship the deity, you need to be initiated.
况且去崇拜神像是必须要得到启迪的。
So, and also there will be many times when we need guidance from a spiritual teacher.
并且有许多的时候，许多的情况下，我们是需要一位灵性导师的指导。
So we see initiation is an important part of devotional service.
所以我们看到启迪是奉爱服务当中的重要部分。
So here Lord Caitanya is describing a very special situation.
在这里，主Caitanya就描述了一个特殊的情况。
So somebody is just chanting the holy name, they're not doing anything else.
有的人他只是唱诵圣名，他别的什么也不做。
So then they don't need a guru.
那么这样的人他是不需要 guru 的。
But they're very, very, it's very rare that anybody can do that.
但是能够做到这一点的人是非常非常罕见的人。
So although the verse says you don't need the guru, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains a lot about Diksha.
所以虽然这个诗节当中说到了不需要 guru， 但是在要旨当中，圣帕帕德多次就提到了灵性导师。
It says initiation is the process by which we awaken transcendental knowledge.
圣帕帕德在要旨当中说，启迪是人可以唤醒超然知识的程序。
And we can get rid of all the reactions of our sinful activities.
通过启迪，人可以摧毁所有的罪恶活动的反应。
So, the process of initiation is, it says that even one may be born in a Brahmana family, but he cannot do Vedic rituals without being initiated.
接下来又说到，即便一个人是诞生在婆罗门家庭当中，但是他也如果 if he want to do
Vedic ritual.
OK， 那如果他要举行伟达仪式的话，他是需要启迪的。
Yeah, he may be born in a Brahmana family, but he only becomes a Brahmana after initiation.
虽然一个人他出生是在婆罗门家庭，但是他只有经过启迪之后，他才能有婆罗门的资格，正式成为婆罗门。
And unless you're initiated as a Brahmin, you cannot worship the holy name properly.
而且，除非一个人经过启迪成为了婆罗门，否则的话是不能正确的来崇拜圣名的。
That's a statement from the scriptures.
这是来自经典的论断。
And then it also says one must be initiated. One should be initiated. Unless one is initiated by a spiritual master, all of his devotional activities are useless.
接下来这句话是说， 除非一个人被一位正宗的灵性导师启迪，否则的话，他所有的奉爱服务都是无用的。
The idea is the activities we do before initiation, they're helping to prepare us for initiation.
这个要点就是说，我们在启迪之前所从事的活动，是让我们为启迪做好准备。
So they're not useless if we get initiation. But if we don't get initiation, then it's useless.
所以这些活动呢，也并不是没有用的。但是如果我们最终没有启迪的话，那么这些活动就没有用了。
If a person is not properly initiated, then he can fall into the animal species.
如果一个人没有得到恰当的启迪的话，那么他有可能堕入到动物的种族当中。
So then it states also, it's the duty of every human to surrender to a guru.
接下来这句经典是每个人类的职责就是向臣服一位真正的灵性导师 Guru。
We should take Vaishnava initiation from him.
我们应当从他那里接受 Vaishnava 的启迪。
Just like, there's another famous verse that says, just like bell metal can be turned into gold when it's touched by mercury.
那接下来的这句经典说的是，就像青铜跟银汞混合之后，可以转变成黄金。
Just like when a person's properly initiated, then he can get all the qualities of a brahmana.
当一个人得到恰当启迪之后，他就能够获得婆罗门的资格。
So in the morning, in the afternoon, and the evening, we should worship the deity and chant the Hare Krishna mantra.
在清晨、下午、傍晚，我们应当崇拜神像，唱诵 Hare Krishna mantra。
And we should perform a fire sacrifice and offer oblations, and then feed the brahmanas.
我们应当从事举行火祭，做供奉，然后给婆罗门喂养婆罗门。
So these 5 activities, they help to prepare us for initiation.
那么这5项活动可以让我们做好准备，得到启迪。
Before we take initiation from the Guru, we should first do these activities.
在我们得到灵性导师启迪之前，我们应当从事这些活动。
Just like in our Krishna consciousness, we don't immediately give people initiation.
就像在我们 Krishna 知觉运动当中，我们不会上来立刻就给一个人启迪。
Anybody who wants initiation, then for 6 months, they have to attend RT and classes.
任何希望启迪的人必须有6个月的时间参加登仪 RT， 并且听讲课。
Now they have to practice the regulative principles and stay in the association of devotees.
他们也必须遵守规范原则，并且与奉献者们联谊。
And then he can be recommended by the temple president for initiation.
接下来，他可以得到庙长的推荐来获得启迪。
And Prabhupada said it's not that anybody can be suddenly initiated.
圣帕帕德在要旨当中说到，任何人不能够突然之间就得到启迪。
They have to be qualified and they have to be prepared for initiation.
他们必须具备资格，必须做好准备。
So when they chant 16 rounds every day and follow the regulative principles and attend the classes, then after 6 months, they can be recommended for initiation.
那么当这样的人，他们每天念诵 Hare Krishna Mantra 16圈，遵守了规范原则，并且听了讲课，那么他可以在经过6个月之后得到启迪。
So there were 5 activities which are mentioned, which are supposed to be done before initiation.
我们刚才讲到了，在启迪之前，一个人他可以从事5项活动。
So, if we don't perform these activities, then it will be very difficult for us to chant the Hare Krishna mantra.
如果我们不从事这些活动的话，那么唱诵 Hare Krishna mantra 就比较困难。
But if we have followed these 5 principles, if we've done these 5 activities, then it's very easy for us.
但是倘若我们从事了这5项活动的话，那么就很容易做到了。
Yeah, but we have to prepare ourselves for the initiation.
所以我们必须要为启迪做好充分的准备。
So these 5 activities, they are the life force which help us to be successful in chanting Hare Krishna mantra.
那么这5项活动是帮助我们在唱诵 Hare Krishna mantra 的时候取得成功的生命原动力。
Without the life force, we cannot do anything. Haribol?
Haribol, yes. Yes,
Without the life force, we're not able to do anything. In the body, if there's no life force, we cannot do anything with our body.
没有生命力的话，那么仅仅是有躯体，那么这个躯体也什么都做不了。
And the same way, if we don't do these 5 activities, the hearing the scriptures and associating with the brahmanas and fire sacrifice and offering oblations, if we don't do these things, then we won't be able to chant the mantra perfectly.
就是这些活动包括聆听经典、与婆罗门联谊、做火祭、供奉祭品。倘若不做这些活动的话，我们不能完美的唱诵 mantra。
5 activities, right? Worship the deity, chant Hare Krishna mantra, offer obeisances, offer oblations, fire sacrifice, and feed the brahmanas.
这5项活动就是分别是崇拜神像、唱诵 Hare Krishna mantra、供奉贡品、举行火祭，还有给婆罗门喂食、喂养婆罗门。
And Jiva Goswami tells us that it's very important to worship the deity.
Jiva Goswami 就告诉我们崇拜神像的重要性。
Yeah. Sometimes in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it says that deity worship is not actually important.
在圣典博伽法坛有的地方说，崇拜神像实际上并不是很重要。
And just like in some scriptures, in some other scriptures, they say different things. They say, "Oh, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do this."
不同的经典就有不同的论断。他们说这件事是不需要做的，那件事不需要做。
But the Bhagavatam says, even without worshipping the deity, you can get success in the human life.
正典博伽法坛说，即便是不去崇拜神像，人也可以达到人体生命的成功。
You just do any one of the other processes of devotional service.
你只需要从事奉献服务当中的任何一种。
But we follow the teachings of Narada Muni.
我们追随 Narada Muni 的教导。
Narada Muni and all the devotees who follow Narada Muni, they all worship the deity.
Narada Muni 以及 Narada Muni 的追随者们，他们都是崇拜神像的。
And by the grace of Narada Muni, they get initiation and they begin to worship the deity.
随着 Narada Muni 的仁慈，他们得到启迪，继而开始崇拜神像。
So it may appear deity worship is not essential, but actually it's required.
虽然表面上看，神像崇拜并不是至关重要的，但是神像崇拜是需要的。
Because most of us, we're not very pure, we're conditioned by the material energy, and we need to do service for the deity.
因为我们大部分人都不纯净，都受到物质能量的限制，所以需要去做神像崇拜。
If we look at our body condition, our physical condition, and our mental condition, we see we're not very pure.
如果我们检视一下自己的躯体状态、自己的心意状态，就发现并不是那么纯粹。
And our minds are agitated.
而且我们心意总是躁动不安。
So to help us get over this conditioning, we have to worship the deity.
所以为了帮助我们克服这些状态，我们必须要崇拜神像。
Even though we may not be initiated, we can still get perfection in devotional service simply by chanting the holy name.
即便没有得到启迪，一个人也可以通过唱诵主的圣名达到完美，奉献服务的完美。
So chanting Hare Krishna is very powerful. It doesn't depend on initiation.
所以唱诵 Hare Krishna Mantra 是如此有力量，它并不依赖于正式的启迪。
But if we are initiated, then it's an advantage to us.
但是如果倘若我们被启迪的话，那么对我们来说是一个非常有利的条件和情况。
And if we do deity worship, then it will help us to awaken our Krishna consciousness.
而且如果我们从事神像崇拜的话，能够帮助我们唤醒我们的 Krishna 之觉。
And this will help us to get out of the material world.
这就能够帮助我们脱离这个物质世界。
So the more we can get free of material identification, the easier it will be for us to advance.
我们越是能够摆脱这种物质的认同，就越能容易的取得进步。
We will be able to understand that the spirit soul has the same qualities as the supreme soul.
我们就能够认识到灵魂和至尊灵魂拥有同样的品质。
Just like the holy name of the Lord and the Lord Himself are the same.
正像主的圣名和主本人是同一个。
So at that time, Hare Krishna mantra cannot be compared to any material sound.
所以在那个时候 Hare Krishna Mantra 是不能和任何物质的音震相提并论的。
If we think Maha Mantra is a material vibration, then we are fallen.
倘若我们认为 Hare Krishna Mantra 是物质的音震的话，那我们是堕落的。
We should worship and we should chant the holy name.
我们应当崇拜圣名，我们应当唱诵圣名。
And we should accept the holy name as Krishna Himself.
并且我们应当把圣名当作主本人。
So that's another reason why we have to be initiated properly according to the scriptures.
所以正是由于这个原因，我们应当得到恰当，根据启示经典受到恰当的启迪。
Chanting the holy name is good for both people, both the conditioned soul and the liberated soul.
唱诵圣名对于受条件限制的灵魂和解脱了的灵魂都有好处。
But it is especially good, is very helpful for the conditioned souls.
但是对于受条件限制的灵魂而言，是尤其的大有益处，而且特别有帮助。
Because by chanting the holy name, these conditioned souls can become liberated souls.
因为通过唱诵圣名，受条件限制的灵魂就能变成解脱的灵魂。
And he can go back home, back to Godhead.
如此一来，他便能回归家园，回归神手。
Yeah, but just by chanting the holy name, we can get free from the material existence.
仅仅通过唱诵圣名，我们就能摆脱物质的存在。
And simply by chanting Hare Krishna mantra, we'll be able to see the lotus feet of Krishna.
仅仅通过唱诵 Hare Krishna mantra， 一个人就能见到主的莲花足。
Caitanya Caritamrta says, Krishna mantra haite habe samsara mochana, Krishna nama haite pabe Krishnara charana. Right? Simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord, we'll be able to see the lotus feet of Krishna.
仅仅通过唱诵 Krishna 的圣名，我们就能见到主的莲花足。
Who wants to see the lotus feet of Krishna? Everyone?
谁想见？有没有人在场的？有谁想要看到主的莲花足？
Then you have to be initiated.
那么你就必须得到启迪了。
And you have to chant the holy name under the direction of the spiritual master.
那么您就需要在灵性导师的指引之下唱诵圣名。
But offensive chanting does not depend on the initiation. Offenseless. Chanting without offenses. It doesn't mean that you have to be initiated before you can chant without offenses.
OK， 那么没有冒犯的唱诵圣名，并不依赖启迪。换句话说，并不是说你只有启迪了，你才能没有冒犯的唱诵圣名。
Initiation may depend on doing these activities. Before we get initiation, you have to do all these activities we said, like worshipping the deity, chanting the holy name, feed the brahmanas.
我们刚才说到了，那么在启迪之前呢，人应当从事这些活动，比如说，崇拜、唱诵圣名、崇拜神像，给喂养婆罗门。
But the chanting of the holy name doesn't depend on these activities.
但是唱诵圣名是不依赖这些活动的。
If somebody can chant the holy name even once without offense, then he's very great. He gets all success.
倘若一个人可以没有冒犯的唱诵圣名，那么这个人是非常了不起的，他就能真达完美，真达成功。
But if you're going to chant the holy name without offense, you have to use your tongue. The tongue has to work.
但是，倘若你要是没有冒犯的唱诵圣名，那么必须要运用舌头，舌头必须要工作。
Right? The tongue has to do service by chanting the holy name.
舌头必须要从事服务， 通过唱诵圣名来做服务。
If our time is busy in tasting material things and talking about material things, then we cannot use the tongue for spiritual advancement.
倘若我们的舌头在品尝物质的事物，并且在谈论物质的话题，那么就不能取得灵性进步。
We cannot understand the holy name of Krishna just by our material senses.
我们不能通过物质的感官来理解主的圣名。
But when we engage in devotional service using the tongue, then Krishna reveals himself to us.
但是，倘若我们运用舌头来从事奉献服务，那么主就能够揭示给我们。
So you can see how Srila Prabhupada explains the importance of initiation in this section.
那么，我们可以看到，施拉帕布帕德在这一部分就解释了启迪的重要性。
Just by chanting the holy name, we can get free from our entanglement in material activities.
仅仅是通过唱诵圣名，我们就能摆脱物质存在的束缚。
Then we become attracted to Krishna.
然后我们就能够深受 Krishna 的吸引。
Then our love for Krishna will awaken.
其后，我们对 Krishna 潜伏的爱就能苏醒。
So the holy name of Krishna is very attractive for all the saintly people.
Krishna 的圣名对于所有的圣人而言都是非常吸引人的。
It's available for everyone. Everyone can chant, even the lowest of people.
每个人都可以唱诵圣名，即便是最低贱的人也可以。
When somebody chants the holy name with the tongue, immediately effects are produced.
倘若一个人通过舌头唱诵圣名，那么立刻就会产生效果。
And chanting the holy name doesn't depend on initiation or pious activities.
唱诵圣名不依赖于启迪，也不依赖于虔诚活动。
The holy name doesn't wait for any of these activities.
圣名并不等待所有这些活动。
The holy name is self-sufficient.
圣名本身就是自足的。
So then Lord Caitanya said, anybody who is chanting the Hare Krishna mantra is understood to be a Vaishnava.
随后，如Chaitanya Mahaprabhu就说到，任何一位唱诵 Hare Krishna mantra 的人，就被理解为是一位 Vaishnava。
You should offer all respects to him.
你们应当向他致以所有的敬意。
In the Nectar of Instruction, Rupa Goswami describes how to relate to different levels of devotees.
在教诲的甘露 Upadeshamrita， 使了 Rupa Goswami 就讲述了该如何与各类奉献者进行交往。
He said we should mentally honor a devotee who chants the holy name, anyone who chants the holy name.
他说，我们应当在心意上，在心意里尊敬任何一位唱诵圣名的人。
And if somebody is engaged in worshipping the deity and has had spiritual initiation, we should offer obeisances to him.
而有的人他已经得到了启迪，并且正在已经崇拜神像了，那我们应当向他致以顶礼。
But we should associate with and serve the devotee who is fixed in undeviating devotional service and does not criticize anyone.
我们应当联谊，我们应当与那些毫不分心的从事于奉爱服，并且摆脱了任何批评倾向的奉献者联谊，并且服务他们。
So somebody may be an advanced devotee, he should respect any devotee who's been initiated by a guru.
倘若一个人已经是进步了奉献者的话，那么他们应该尊敬任何一位得到guru启迪的奉献者。
And we should see him as being situated on the transcendental platform.
我们应当把他视作处在了超然层面上。
Because he's chanting the holy name, and he's offering obeisances, and he's following the instructions of his guru. So we should respect him.
因为他唱诵圣名，他也顶拜，他也遵守了guru的训示，所以我们应当尊敬他。
So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says it's very important for householders to serve the Vaishnavas.
是的，巴克勒诺他不说，服务 Vaishnava 对于居士而言是非常重要的。
And he said it doesn't matter if the Vaishnava is initiated or not.
并且他还说，无论这位 Vaishnava 到底是不是已经启迪了，并不重要。
Somebody may be initiated, but they may still be contaminated with Mayavadi philosophy.
有的人也许已经得到了启迪，但是仍然被Mayavadi假相宗哲学污染。
But somebody else may be chanting the holy name without offenses, and he won't be so contaminated.
另外一方面，倘若有人们没有冒犯的唱诵了圣名的话，那么他们就没有受到这个Mayavadi的污染。
Somebody may be initiated as a Vaishnava, but they may not. Of course, this doesn't mean they're perfect.
当然，并不是说一对 Vaishnava 得到启迪了，他就已经完美了。
But anybody who is chanting the holy name without offenses, he is perfect.
但是任何人倘若能够没有冒犯的唱诵了主的圣名，那么这个人就是完美了的。
He may appear to be like a neophyte, but still he should be considered a pure devotee.
表面上看，他可能是位出席的奉献者，但是他仍然应当被视为是一个纯洁无瑕的 Vaishnava。
So it's the duty of the householders to offer respect to all these devotees.
作为居士，就有责任向这样的奉献者致以全部的敬意。
This was Lord Chaitanya's instruction to these devotees.
这便是主Caitanya对这两位奉献者的教导。
So after Lord Chaitanya had given instruction to these people, then he turned to some other devotees. He wants to give them instruction.
当主Caitanya Mahaprabhu给这两位奉献者训示之后，他又转向了其他的奉献者，他想给予他们训示。
So there were 3 people from the village called Kanda.
有3位来自康达这个地方的人。
So they're very wonderful devotees. One was called Mukunda, one was called Raghunandan, and the other was called Sri Narahari.
那这3位美妙的奉献者分别是 Mukunda、Raghunandan 和 Sri Narahari。
Now, actually, Mukunda was the father of Raghunandan.
实际上，Mukunda 是 Raghunanda 的父亲。
And Narahari was like the brother of Mukunda.
而 Narahari 就好像 Mukunda 的兄弟。
So Lord Chaitanya said to Mukunda, he said to Mukunda, are you the father and your son is Raghunandan? Is that true?
柴丹亚就对母昆的说 ，Raghunanda 是你的父亲，还是你是
Raghunandan 是你的儿子，还是你是他的父亲吗？ Raghunandan 是不是你的儿子？是不是这样？ Or is Raghunandan your father and you are his son?
还是 Raghunanda 是你的爸爸，然后你是他的儿子呢？
Tell me the truth.
请告诉我真相。
I have doubts about this.
我对此心存疑虑。
Now actually Mukunda was the father of Raghunandan.
实际上，昆的是 Raghunanda 的爸爸。
But Mukunda said, Raghunandan is my father and I am his son. This is my decision.
但是母昆的回答说 ，Raghunanda 是我的爸爸，我是他的儿子，这是我的决定。
All of us have attained devotion to Krishna due to Raghunandan. All of our family have become devotees of Krishna by Raghunandan's influence.
我们全家都是因为 Raghunanda 的影响，才成为了奉献者。
So in my mind, Raghunandan is my father.
所以在我的心里 ，Raghunanda 是我的父亲。
So when Lord Caitanya heard this, he said, yes, this is right.
所以当主柴丹亚听完这番话，他就首肯说道：“是的，你说的对。”
That the person who awakens you to Krishna is certainly like your spiritual teacher.
谁倘若帮助你唤醒了对 Krishna 的奉爱，那么他肯定就是一位灵性导师。
So Lord Caitanya was very happy to speak about these wonderful devotees and their wonderful qualities.
是柴丹亚玛哈帕布谈到奉献者美妙的荣耀和品质的时候，他变得非常的愉悦。
So Lord Caitanya told all the devotees, he said, let me tell you about Mukunda's love for Krishna.
接着主柴丹亚又对所有的奉献者说：“现在请听我来描述母昆的对神手的奉爱。
His love for Krishna is very deep and pure.
母昆的对神手的爱非常的深厚和纯粹，
It's like purified gold.
那就好像是已经纯化了的黄金。
So Mukunda, Lord Chaitanya is telling the story, he said, Mukunda, in his ordinary life, he appears to be like he's a doctor in the service of the king.
所以主柴丹亚就讲一个故事，就说母昆的就在日常活动当中呢，好像是国王的一位皇家的御医。
But actually, in his heart, Mukunda has a very deep love for Krishna.
在他的内心，他对 Krishna 怀着深厚的爱。
So Lord Chaitanya is actually showing us that we cannot understand who is actually a great devotee of Krishna.
所以实际上，主柴丹亚就向我们表明，就我们不能够明白到底谁是主的纯粹奉献者。
Just like this Mukunda, he was working in the government service as a doctor.
就像这位母昆的，他的职位呢是一个政府当中的一个医生。
But at the same time, in his heart, he's an eternally liberated devotee.
可是，在他的内心，他是一个永恒解脱的奉献者。
Externally, he's a doctor for the royal court, for the king, the ruler. but internally he's a Paramahansa devotee.
外在的他是这个国王的皇家的医生，但是他的内心是一位至尊天鹅的奉献者。
So Lord Caitanya knew this, but ordinary man could not understand it.
主Caitanya很了解这点，但是普通人不能明白。
Ordinary people cannot understand the dealings of the Vaishnavas.
普通人不能够理解 Vaishnava 的日常活动。
But Lord Caitanya, he can understand everything about the devotees.
但是主Caitanya对奉献者的方方面面都一清二楚。
Even though externally they may appear to be like ordinary householders and they're businessmen or professionals, but they can understand the real heart of the person.
即便这些奉献者表面上好像是普通的居士，或者是普通的生意人，或者是职场上的人，但是他们的内心却是奉献者。
So one day Mukunda was sitting beside the Muslim king. The king was a Muslim, and Mukunda was the doctor, and he was sitting beside the king and he was telling the king about a medical treatment, about how he was going to treat the king.
有一天呢，姆昆的他和这位穆斯林国王就坐在一个地方，在给这国王就讲解这个就是给他治疗的这种方法。
So when the king was talking with Mukunda, then the servant of the king, he brought a big fan made of peacock feathers to shade the king's head from the sun.
当国王和姆昆的就这样交流的时候呢，一位仆人就拿了一个孔雀羽毛扇子来罩在这个国王的头上，给他遮阴。
And he held the fan above the head of the king.
他把这个孔雀羽毛扇呢，就放置在国王的头上方。
And when Mukunda saw the peacock fan, it awakened his love for Krishna, and he fell on the ground.
当姆昆的一看见这个孔雀羽毛扇的话，他内心的神爱就唤醒了，然后他就倒在了地上。
He was on a high platform because he was talking to the king, but he fell off the high platform, fell on the ground.
姆昆的和国王呢坐在一个就是高出地面的一个平台上，但是他就从这个台子上摔了下去，倒在了地上。
So the king was worried that maybe something has happened to him, and so he got off the throne and he came down to try to take care of Mukunda.
所以这个国王就很担心姆昆的情况，他就亲自从这个台子上下来，就来照顾姆昆的。
So the king said to the Mukunda, he said, "Where is the pain? Where is your pain?"
国王问姆昆的：“你哪里疼了？”
And Mukunda said, "No, I don't have any pain. I'm okay."
姆昆的说：“我没有疼痛，我没有事儿。”
So the king asked, he said, "Well, what happened? Why did you fall down?"
就国王就很关切地问：“到底发生了什么事情？你为什么就一下子跌倒了呢？”
So Mukunda says, "Oh, my dear king, I have a disease called epilepsy."
癫痫。
Epilepsy. You know that disease? You know, if there's a lot of noise, sometimes then they will upset people. They go crazy. You know, they become hysterical. They collapse. They just fall down. people who have this disease, they can't drive or anything?
Let me first check the
EPI.
癫痫 ，OK， 癫痫。
What's the disease?
癫痫就是羊角风，癫痫。
癫痫.
你坤
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, that's
你
right.
坤的就回答国王说，我有一种病，我患了癫痫病。
So, but the king was very intelligent and he could understand.
但是国王特别的聪明，他就能够明白到底是怎么回事儿。
And he understood that Mukunda was actually a very liberated, he was a great soul, he was a liberated person.
国王就知道姆昆的是一个了不起的解脱的灵魂了。
So, the son of Mukunda is Raghunandan, and he's always engaged in serving the deity of Lord Krishna in the temple.
姆昆德的儿子 Raghunandan， 他是恒常的在庙宇当中服务主 Krishna。
And beside the entrance to the temple, there's a little lake.
在庙宇的大门口入口旁边有一个小湖。
And on the side of the lake, there's a kadamba tree.
在湖畔呢有一棵卡当巴树。
And that tree every day gives 2 flowers to be used for Krishna's service.
每一天，这一棵树都会结出2朵鲜花，来用于为 Krishna 的服务。
So Lord Caitanya then said to Mukunda in a very sweet way, because he wants to give him some instruction, because he knows he's going back home to Bengal.
接着呢，是Chaitanya Mahaprabhu呢，就以甜美的话语呢，开始对姆昆德说话，因为他知道姆昆德即将返回他的家乡。
So he said, your duty is to earn both material and spiritual wealth.
你的职责是去赚取物质的财富，并且赚取灵性的财富。
Right, because he's a doctor, so he's making money materially, and because he's a great devotee, he will also get spiritual wealth.
因为姆昆德是一位医生，所以呢，他也会得到物质上的金钱。同时呢，姆昆德是一位伟大的奉献者，他也会得到灵性上的财富。
And then Lord Chaitanya said, Raghunandan, your duty is to always serve and to stay in the service of Lord Krishna.
然后接着主Chaitanya又训示 Raghunandan 呢，对他说 ，Raghunandan， 你的责任就是恒常的从事于服务主 Krishna。
Yeah, Raghunandan was the boy who got the deity to eat. When he was offering the prasadam, he told the deity eat, and he wasn't eating, but Raghunandan pleaded, and the deity finally ate.
Raghunandan 呢，他就是那位了不起的奉献者。他小的时候呢，就哀求奉献者来吃
No,
这个拉。
he got the deity to eat.
Yes， 也就是 Raghunandan 呢，让这个神像啊，最后吃掉了贡品。
Yeah, he made the offering, and the deity was not eating. So Raghunandan told him, you have to eat, you have to eat. So the deity ate.
就是一开始 Raghunandan 给神像供奉食物，神像并没有吃掉，然后最后他就哀求他，你一定得吃掉，然后最后神像就吃掉了贡品。
That deity is still being worshipped today.
那么直到今天呢，这尊神像仍然受到人们受到崇拜。
Yeah. So Raghunandan was his spent his whole life just worshipping the deity.
所以 Raghunanda 呢，毕生都在崇拜神像。
And so the other person was the brother of Mukunda. His name was Narahari. So Lord Chaitanya told him, I want you to remain here with the devotees.
另外一位呢是Mukunda的兄弟，叫 Narahari。主柴坦亚对他说：“我希望你留在这里，和我的奉献者待在一起。”
So there were 3 people, and they were each given different services.
所以就这样，这3位奉献者各自就从主柴坦亚那里得到了各自的不同的服务。
Mukunda was to earn money and follow the religious principles.
Mukunda 呢，他就要去赚钱，并且遵守宗教的职责。
And Narahari was to stay with the Lord's devotees.
而 Narahari 将要和主的奉献者待在一起。
It means like go for programs and do kirtan, attend the festivals, be like a full-time devotee.
那就意味着他要去参加活动，去举行 kirtan， 去举办节日，就做一个全职奉献者。
And Raghunandan, he was just to be the pujari, stay in the temple and serve the deity.
而 Raghunanda 呢，他的职责是一位pujari，他就在庙里头崇拜神像。
So one person's worshipping in the temple.
那一个人就将在庙宇当中崇拜。
And the other one was doing his job as a doctor and earning money honestly.
而另外一个呢，就是担任医生，靠这个职业来诚实的赚钱。
And the other person was preaching Krishna consciousness with the devotees.
而另外一位将和奉献者们一起去传播 Krishna 知觉。
So 3 different kinds of service, they appear to be different, they appear to be separate, but actually they're not.
所以这3种服务表面上看好像是分开的、不同的，但事实上他们彼此并没有分开。
Lord Chaitanya or Lord Krishna is in the center.
主 Krishna， 换言之就是主Chaitanya是在所有活动的中心。
And everyone can do different activities for the pleasure of Krishna.
每个人都可以为了主的快乐从事不同的活动。
This is the message of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
这就是主Chaitanya Mahaprabhu的讯息。
So maybe we'll stop here. We'll ask if there's any questions.
好，那我们讲课部分就停到这里。接下来我们来回答问题。
Are there any questions today?
Yes. 第一个问题是 Ina Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj and all devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. How can a devotee who strictly follows all principles be offensive to other Vaishnavas? Doesn't following the rules purify him, or can it be because of offensive in past lives? 云娜说 ：“Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj 和所有奉献者，请接受卑微礼拜，所有荣耀归于释拉巴布哈。一位严格遵守原则的人，怎么可能冒犯其他外士那瓦呢？”
Well, if they're envious and if they blaspheme the devotees, yes, they could.
如果他们就心存嫉妒，或者是他们诽谤、亵渎了其他奉献者，那么就有可能就会冒犯其他外士那瓦。
You have to be very careful not to commit any offenses against the devotees. If you criticize the devotees, even though you're following yourself, You may criticize, you may be jealous or envious of someone and you criticize them.
所以要小心，不要冒犯奉献者，不要批评他们。一个人可能自己是遵守的，但是他不能去嫉妒别人。
We see the example Ramachandra Puri. Ramachandra Puri was he was an initiated disciple of Madhavendra Puri. He had a very great spiritual master.
我们看到了 Ramachandra Puri 的事例，他得到了伟大的 Madhavendra Puri 伟大灵性导师 Madhavendra Puri 的启迪。
But when his spiritual master was leaving the body, he came to him and he tried to instruct his guru.
当他的灵性导师离开躯体之前呢，他就来到灵性导师跟前，试图来训示自己的灵性导师。
His guru was feeling separation from Krishna.
他的 guru 当时就感受着跟 Krishna 的分离之情。
But Ramachandra Puri did not understand the nature of this transcendental feeling of separation, and he thought it to be material lamentation.
但是 Ramachandra Puri 并不明白这些超然的分离之情，他认为是一个物质的悲伤。
So he told his guru, "Oh, Guruji, don't lament, you should rejoice. Think of the Brahman. Think of the Brahman and rejoice in the Brahman."
所以 Ramachandra Puri 就告诉自己的灵性导师：“哦 ，Guruji， 您可不要悲伤啊，您要想着 Brahman， 想着饭，然后高兴起来。”
Now Madhavendra Puri was far above the Brahman. He was a great devotee of Krishna.
Madhavendra Puri 他是远远的超越了泛光的层面，他是 Krishna 的奉献者。
So this foolish disciple came there and tried to instruct him about the Brahman. It was an offense.
那么这个愚蠢的门徒，他就试图教导自己的 guru 有关于饭，所以这是一个冒犯了。
And then he went to Lord Caitanya. And when he came to Lord Chaitanya's place, he criticized Lord Caitanya.
后来他来到了主 Caitanya 的身边，他又开始批评主 Caitanya。
He saw there were many small insects, ants, crawling around. And when he saw them all, he said to Lord Caitanya, he said, "Oh, so many insects are here. I think you must be keeping a lot of sweets here."
然后 Ramachandra Puri 就看见地上有好多小虫子，爬着的小虫子，然后他就对主 Caitanya 说：“哦，地上有这么多昆虫，你一定留着很多甜品吧。”
I've heard before that you people eat too many sweets. Now I can see it's true.
我以前听说你们这些人吃很多的甜品，现在我亲眼看到了啊，这是真的。
So this was an offense. This was a criticism of Lord Caitanya.
这个是他竟然批评主 Caitanya。
Actually, it's the nature of little insects that they always run around here and there. You cannot avoid it.
实际上，小昆虫、小虫子，它们天性就会爬来爬去，你是到处都有，这不可避免。
And Lord Caitanya never kept any prasadam around. He would always distribute it.
主 Caitanya 他从来不会就是自己私自留着 prasad， 他总是派给奉献者。
So this person, he had a habit to just go around and criticize people.
所以这个人他就养成了批评别人的习惯，他到处批评别人。
But he was a devotee.
但他却是个奉献者。
He was initiated. He had a very great spiritual master.
而且他已经启迪了，他的灵性导师是一个非常了不起的、伟大的灵性导师。
But he could not take advantage.
但是他不能充分好好的利用这一个条件。She said， 他接着就说，那么遵守规则仍然不能净化他吗 ？Doesn't following the rules purify him?
Well, yes, to some extent, but you have to do more. You have to follow. You have to be careful not to commit offenses.
遵守规则在某种程度上可以净化人，但是还要做更多的功课，还要小心不要做冒犯。
We can become very proud that I'm following the rules. I'm a great devotee. I'm following all the rules and regulations. I'm very advanced, and like that, our false ego can be out of control.
我们可能会因此骄傲。哦，我遵守了规范原则，我是这么伟大的奉献者，我这么进步，那么我们的假我可能是失控了。
Yes.
Or can it be because of offensive in past life？ 或者是有可能他过往前一生世就有这种做过冒犯。
Well, we don't know past lives. Maybe the past life, we may not have been devotees, but we may have had the tendency to find fault with people and to criticize people.
我们并不知道我们不知道他的前世，也可能他不是做了冒犯，他可能就是有这种挑错的习惯，他喜欢批评人。
When we were reading the chapter about cleaning the Gundicha temple, it was described about getting rid of all the dirt and the sand and the dust.
当我们讲述这个清洁拱地城庙的时候，就谈到了要去除内心的这种就是拱地城庙的时候，他们清理了是庙里的尘土、沙粒，还有这个石子、脏东西、污垢。
So this sand and dirt and dust is like the impurities in the heart.
那么这些泥土、沙粒，还有这些尘土，就代表着内心的不洁。
And some of the impurities in the heart are things like finding fault with others unnecessarily.
内心的其中一个不洁就是毫无必要的去挑别人的毛病。
Yeah, if we find fault, when we go just make a habit of criticizing people, oh, this is not good, oh, this is not proper, you shouldn't do like that, and we just criticize people, then this is not good.
如果我们已经都养成了习惯了，总是觉得这样做不好，这样做不对，不应当这样做，就这么批评别人，这是不好的。
This tendency may come, it may be there due to past life, or it may just be due to bad association.
那么这种不良的倾向，有可能是来自于前世，有可能是来自于不良的联谊。
Yeah, if you get bad association, then other people, they're criticizing, they're finding fault, they don't have any faith, they have very weak faith, and they criticize other people who follow.
就是你联谊的对象可能就喜欢批评人，可能就喜欢挑错，他的信心也很薄弱。 那么他就有可能就这个联谊的对象，他就是本身就喜欢批评人。
We find usually the people who criticize are the ones who don't follow very well. They don't follow strictly. So they criticize, they don't think anybody follows strictly.
我们发现，就那些喜欢挑错、挑毛病的人，他们就是不是很严格的遵守，然后他们就觉得别人也不是严格的遵守。下一个问题是Dana Kili Hare Krishna， 请问 Guru， 主 Jagannath 和主 Caitanya 前面的称呼都是主，请问这两个主的含义怎么区别？谢谢您，明白您的莲花。谢谢 Hare Krishna。Lord Jagannath and Lord Caitanya both are called Lord. How to distinguish the meaning of the Lord?
Well, Lord Jagannath is the Lord who appears in the form of wood. He's called Daru Brahman. Daru means wood and Brahman means spirit. So the form of Jagannath is spiritual, but he appears to be in a wood, coming from a wooden form.
主 Jagannath 他是主的木质形体，它叫 Daru Brahman。Daru 的意思是木头 ，Brahman 是灵性的，所以这主 Jagannath 是灵性的，但是它是木质的形体。
So Lord Jagannath, he is appearing along with his brother and sister.
主 Jagannath 是和他的哥哥、兄长和他的妹妹一同显现的。
And we heard Lord Jagannath, his consort is the goddess of fortune, and he lives in Dwarka.
我们听到了主 Jagannath 的伴侣是幸运女神，她的居所是 Dwarka。
But Lord Caitanya comes, and he doesn't come as God, but he comes in the mood of Radharani, in the mood of Srimati Radharani.
主 Caitanya 他并不是以神的身份降临的，他是以 Srimati Radharani 的心态降临的。
Lord Caitanya is a covered incarnation of Krishna.
主 Caitanya 是 Krishna 的一个隐蔽的化身。
He never wanted people to think of him as God. He wanted only to experience the mood of being Radharani, in the mood of Radharani.
他不希望别人把他认为是神，他只希望去体验 Radharani 的心绪。
So he came to show us how we can practice devotional service to develop this mood of spontaneous love for Krishna.
他降临就是来向人们来展示如何执行奉爱服务，以发展对 Krishna 的自发的爱。
So this was appreciated by Rupa Goswami, and he described Lord Caitanya as being the most merciful of all of Krishna's incarnations.
是了 Rupa Goswami 就非常欣赏主的这一点，他称主 Caitanya 是主 Krishna 所有化身当中最仁慈的一位化身。
That he is giving Krishna prem, he's giving the highest thing, love of Krishna on the highest platform, and he's giving it to everyone.
主 Caitanya 降临，给予世人 Krishna Prema 是最高层面的这个神爱，而且他是给予所有的众生。
So externally, Lord Chaitanya comes to establish the Yuga Dharma, which is Sankirtan.
从外在上看，主 Caitanya 降临是为了来建立 Yuga Dharma， 就是年代宗教，也就是齐颂圣明这个年代大法。
But he also comes for a very special reason in this age, and that is to experience the love which Radharani had for Krishna.
但是他在这个年代降临，还有一个特殊的原因，就是他想体验 Radharani 对 Krishna 的爱。
Because he can see that Radharani loves Krishna very much. She's very attracted to all the wonderful qualities in Krishna.
因为可以看到，就是 Radharani 深受到 Krishna 美妙品质的深深的吸引。
And Radharani is getting more pleasure than Krishna gets.
而且 Radharani 得到的喜乐超过了 Krishna 获得的喜乐。
Krishna enjoys pleasure with Radharani, but Radharani enjoys a million times more pleasure than Krishna gets from Radharani.
主 Krishna 也享受 Krishna 享受到 Radharani 来自 Radharani 的快乐，但是 Radharani 他体验到的快乐比 Krishna 体验到快乐高100万倍。
So Krishna likes to enjoy. He's the supreme enjoyer.
Krishna 他是至尊的享受者，他非常喜欢享受。
So he wants to have the pleasure which Radharani is getting.
所以 Krishna 就想要去获得 Radharani 得到的享受快乐。
And this is why Krishna comes in the Kali Yuga as Lord Chaitanya.
所以 Krishna 就是来到这个哈里年代，以主 Chaitanya 的身份降临到哈里年代。
He comes to experience the pleasure which Radharani is getting from her love with Krishna.
他想体验就是 Radharani 爱 Krishna 得到的那种快乐的体验。
So Krishna is a blackish color. So usually when Krishna comes, he should be black. But we see Lord Chaitanya is not black. Lord Chaitanya is golden. And the reason why he's golden is because Radharani is golden.
主 Krishna 的肤色呢，通常是深色、深蓝色肤色，但是 Chaitanya 的肤色，我们看到它不是这个 Krishna 的那个肤色，它的肤色是 Radharani 的金黄的肤色。
So we describe Lord Chaitanya that he's Radha Bhava Jyoti Suvalitam, that he's in the complexion, he has the same complexion, the golden complexion of Radharani, and he has also the sentiment of Radharani.
主 Chaitanya 是 Radha Bhava Jyoti Suvalitam， 它不仅有 Radharani 的肤色，它还具有 Radharani 的情感。
So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a very special form of Krishna, incarnation of Krishna.
主 Chaitanya 是 Krishna 的特殊的化身。
Of course, Lord Jagannath is also a very special form. It's not that Lord Jagannath is a special incarnation. Lord Jagannath is Krishna. Directly is Krishna.
主 Jagannath 的形体也很特殊，但是主 Jagannath 他不是一位化身，主 Jagannath 就是主 Krishna， 直接就是主 Krishna 本人。
But this very special form of Lord Jagannath, it shows how much love Lord Krishna has for his devotees.
是主扎格纳特他显现出的这个特殊的形象，就表明了主 Krishna 对他的奉献者的深深的爱意。
Because Lord Jagannath, his arms and his legs are shrunk into his body, and his eyes are all dilated big.
主扎格纳的他的双臂、他的双腿都缩进了他的这个躯干内，然后他的眼睛是睁得大大圆圆的。
Why? Because he's hearing about the love of all of his devotees, how they have so much love for him.
为什么呢？因为主扎格纳的当时正在聆听他的奉献者们对他的满怀的爱意。
And just as the devotees have love for Lord Jagannath has love for them.
正像奉献者们都热爱主扎格纳，主扎格纳也热爱他的奉献者们。
And when Lord Jagannath was hearing about how his devotees loved him, that caused his hands and legs to shrink into his body and his eyes to be expanded very wide.
当主扎格纳就听到他的奉献者们的奉爱之情的话，他的腿、他的双手就都缩进了他的体内，然后他的眼睛一下就睁得大大的。
So Lord Jagannath is Krishna himself. Caitanya Mahaprabhu is, we say, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. Lord Chaitanya is the combined form of Radha and Krishna.
主扎格纳的就是主 Krishna 本人，而主 Chaitanya 是 Radha 和 Krishna 的合二为一的合并体。
So I hope that helps you a bit to understand the two lords, Lord Jagannath and Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu.
我希望这能够帮助你理解主扎格纳和主 Chaitanya 的他们的区别。
Yes, is there any other question?
有 yes。Dr. Kelly， 这个不知道有没有回答您的问题？两主的含义。Maybe Dr. Kelly is asking Jagannath, devotees call Jagannath Lord Jagannath, and also they call Chaitanya Lord Chaitanya. So she's asking how to distinguish. Both of them are called Lord.
Well, there are many lords.
有许多主。
The Lord is just a title of respect.
它就是一个尊称。
And so certainly we give respect to both Lord Jagannath and Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu.
所以我们肯定是对主 Jagannath 和主 Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 都致以敬意，就称他们是主。
Lord Buddha, there's Lord Buddha, Lord Kalki, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma.
有主佛陀，有主 Kalki， 还有主 Shiva， 还有主 Brahma。So the next one， 王苏莹顶拜哭辱，请问冒犯奉献者产生的结果也叫业报吗 ？Obeisance Guru. The result coming from offending devotees. Does those results also called karma?
Yes, you could say that. You could call it, well, we don't usually call it karma, we'll just call it offenses. But the results coming from offending devotees, do we call it karma?
Yes.
Yes, the effect of offending devotees, the effect of offending the devotees is it can stop our devotional service and it can take us out of Krishna consciousness even for some time.
是的，也可以这么称作。但是一般的我们就称之为冒犯。冒犯奉献者呢，可能会让我们的奉爱服务终止，也可能会把我们从 Krishna 知觉当中，带出 Krishna 知觉。
Engaging in activities which are not transcendental will certainly bring us karma.
那么之后呢，一个人就会从事就是不是超然的活动。那么从事了并不是超然的层面的活动，那肯定会导致业报。
Okay.
Yes. Next one 是 Novel 5，顶拜咕噜年老的奉献者，他就念16圈，在理论上什么都不明白，这能达到完美吗？感恩。
Someone chants 16 rounds, but they don't understand anything.
Some old
person.
Devote,
Yeah.
they only chant.
Well, if they're chanting the holy name, that's very good. Certainly they'll get some great benefit.
他们唱诵圣名，这无疑是非常好的，他们能得到巨大的好处。
Of course, we do say you have to follow the orders of the spiritual master.
而且我们确实也这么说，人应当遵守灵性导师的命令。
And the spiritual master says we should hear and we should read the books.
灵性导师说，我们应当聆听，我们应当读书。
The fourth offense in chanting the holy name is to blaspheme Vedic literature or literature in pursuance of the Vedic version.
唱诵圣名十诫当中的第4条冒犯就是冒犯亵渎基于伟达训写成的文献，冒犯伟达文献。
So if we're not reading the books regularly, then this is offensive.
不有规律的读书，这也是一个冒犯。
And somebody who's old, they should be able to chant more rounds than 16 rounds. 16 rounds is the minimum number of rounds. They should try to chant more.
倘若上了年纪的话，他念诵的圈数应该超过16圈，16圈只是最基本的圈数了。
So, because they're not able to do much service, they can't be very active, so they should chant more.
他们不能做很多的服务，因为他们不能从事活跃的服务，所以他们应该更多的念诵。
Still, it's very nice to know that somebody is chanting at least 16 rounds.
即便如此，当我们听到某人能够念诵16圈，那也是非常好的了。
And we pray that Lord Krishna will be merciful to them.
我们向主 Krishna 祈祷，主 Krishna 能够对他们仁慈。
Okay.
下一个是北京 Center 徐小渊 Hare Krishna 顶拜 Gurudev 和所有奉献者。我的问题是，不论启迪与否，那些被视为 Vaishnava 的人，是因为没有冒犯的念诵，还是因为对 Krishna 的信心，或者是虔诚？这个问题没有结束，是因为没有冒犯念诵，还是因为对 Krishna 的信息，还是虔诚活动或者其他？这个问题，徐小圈，您能不能再完善一下？因为这个问题好像不是一个完整的问题。The question seems not complete, so shall we first answer the other question?
Okay.
Before.
Yeah.
Okay. 那对不起，我们先来看下个问题。您把您的问题完善一下，谢谢您。Galaxy， 尊敬的咕噜，开素餐厅算是服务主吗？If we open vegetarian restaurant, is it counted as devotional service for the Lord?
Well, if you offer the food to Krishna, in other words, you prepare the food according to the standards of devotional service, and the people who are cooking, they should be qualified Brahmins, and they should cook for Krishna. They should cook purely, and you should offer it before you serve it in the restaurant.
那么就是这些食物必须得到供奉，他们要按照奉献服务的标准去做，而且做这些食物的人是有资格的、合格的婆罗门，是为了主 Krishna 做的。那么而且是要纯粹的去做，然后去供奉，这样可以算。
Prabhupada understood that running a restaurant would be a nice way for householders to maintain themselves.
这个帕帕说，那么就是开办餐厅是居士们维生的一个很好的手段。
Yeah, that they can have a restaurant and they can cook there for Krishna, and they can also preach to the people who come.
他们可以为 Krishna 开饭店，然后向来吃饭的人来传播。
It's nice if you make enough money, then you can use the profits to help to make a nice temple for Krishna.
如果能赚到钱，然后把这钱用来为 Krishna 开庙，就是非常好。
Sometimes we put books there. We have a restaurant. We will put books on the table. Then people who come to the restaurant, they can pick up the book and read the book.
有时候我们就把书放在这个就是饭店餐厅的桌子上，人们来吃饭，他们就会拿起这个书来读书。
And then we also invite people come. We make cooking classes, and people can come and learn how to cook vegetarian.
然后我们也会举办烹饪课，教人们来，邀请人们来学习怎么烹饪素食。
So it's a nice occupation for devotees to do.
所以对于奉献者来说，这是一个很好的职业。
So yes, it helps. It encourages our devotional service.
所以呢，开办素餐厅，那么对于我们的奉爱服务来说是有帮助的。
You do it for Krishna, right? You have a restaurant, you do it for Krishna. All that you do, all offer and give away, you do it for Krishna. So working for Krishna.
要为 Krishna 去做，要把这项工作是为 Krishna 去从事这项工作。
So the consciousness should be there that I'm working, I'm running this restaurant for Krishna, for the pleasure of Krishna.
要有这个带着这个知觉，带着这个觉知去开素餐厅。我做这个工作是为了 Krishna 而从事的，是为了 Krishna 的快乐去从事的。
Okay.
下一个是潘彻他的吧，Prabhu明白 Maharaj 的理论。Krishna。
Guru Maharaj，是这样，就是北京续好院他那个问题，他下面又重新重复了一下。他大概的问题的意思就是说，要问，即使不管启迪还是没启迪，什么样的人是被称为是 Vaishnava？ 他举出来，类似的这种情况，是因为他没有冒犯的念诵啊，还是因为他对这个Krishna知觉虔诚活动，还是其他的什么原因？我们把这些人称为Vaishnava，不管他启迪还是没启迪。
Yes, well, it's right. Somebody may be initiated, but they may not be very much in Krishna consciousness. Although they're initiated, they may not be practicing very strictly, and they may not have much faith in Krishna.
是的，某些人他们虽然已经得到启迪了，但是他们并没有很强烈的 Krishna 知觉，他们也并没有严格的修习，对 Krishna 的信心也并不是那么坚定。
And somebody else may not be initiated, but they may be very serious in chanting.
而另外一些人，即便是没有受到启迪，但是他们念诵特别的认真。
And they may do a lot of chanting, that's important.
他们也许就念诵很多，这一点很重要。
We said you may not be initiated just now, but in the future you should get initiated.
但您可能现在还没有得到启迪，但是将来应当得到启迪。
So you're not wasting your time, you're preparing for the initiation.
你也没有浪费时间，因为您在为启迪正在准备。
And the service which you do before initiation will benefit you once you get initiated.
而且一旦您得到启迪之后，那么在启迪之前从事的那些服务都会给你带来好处。
So you shouldn't think that because I'm not initiated, I'm not a Vaishnava.
所以您不要以为我现在还没有启迪，所以我还不是一位 Vaishnava。
As soon as you start to chant the holy name, you become a Vaishnava.
一旦您开始唱诵了圣名，你就是一位 Vaishnava 了。
Yes.
下一个是，看着他的吧。好路明白 Maharaj 为什么说一个崇拜神像但批评奉献者的人是三流奉献者？批评指责咕噜会有什么后果？看着他的吧 Prabhu said, obeisance Maharaj, why do we say that one who worship deities yet they criticize devotees? They are third-class devotees. And what's the consequence of criticize Guru?
Yes. Well, they're worshipping the deity, but they don't have respect for Krishna in the heart of other people.
他们虽然崇拜神像，但是他们并不尊重居住在别人内心、其他生物内心中的主 Krishna。
So, because that's why they're considered third class.
就是因为这个原因，他们被 视作是三流奉献者。
They only see Krishna in the deity. They don't see Krishna in the hearts of all the people.
他们眼里只看见神像，以神像形式出现的 Krishna， 他们眼里没有看见基于所有众生内心的 Krishna。
And if somebody is criticizing the spiritual master without any proper justification, without any good reason, they're criticizing the spiritual master, then that's very bad for their spiritual life.
倘若一个人没有任何理由，没有任何原因，也没有得到任何的核实，就批评灵性导师，那么对他的灵修很不好。
He's like a resident in hell.
就好像他是地狱的居民。下一个是真真。
Yes.
Hare Krishna。顶拜 Guru Maharaj， 想要和别人顶拜您甜美的莲花寺，顶拜所有奉献者，想要和别人建立好的情感关系，当没有达到的时候，或者结果和自己想的不一样，别人可能并不像我想的那样对我，或者像我对他那样，就会特别心痛。这是心理层面的愿望吗？总是想要好的情感关系，很容易依赖。怎样面对这样的自己？什么样的心态是正确的心态？应该怀着什么样的心态和别人交往呢？Hare Krishna, obeisance Maharaj. Obeisance to Lotus feet. If we want to establish good relationship, good feelings with others, and when it is not to our expectation, or the result is not as good as what we think, the others treat me is not like I treat others, I will feel very sad and sorrow. Is this the desire in the mental level? I also always desire good emotional relationship. I am inclined to depend on others. How can I face I myself? What's the right mood to deal with others?
Well, the right mood is to see Krishna in the heart of everyone.
正确的心态是看见每个人内心的 Krishna。
And don't be too much attached to trying to be successful in everything.
不要依附，就事事成功。
We have to understand Krishna must have a plan somewhere.
我们必须明白 ，Krishna 在某个地方肯定有他自己的计划。
And so we just have to depend on Krishna, see what Krishna wants.
我们只要去依赖 Krishna， 看 Krishna 想要什么。
Be yourself. Don't be yourself. Don't try to be somebody else. Just try to be who you are.
做你自己，不要去做别人，做你本真的自我。
We don't know ultimately what the future has for us. We have to just try to take advantage of every moment to become Krishna conscious.
我们不知道，最终对我们而言有什么等待着我们？我们只是利用片片刻刻的、分分秒秒的时间来具备 Krishna 知觉。
The real relationship is with Krishna. Material world, you'll have many relationships, many friends, they'll come and go.
真正的关系是与 Krishna 的关系，在物质世界有各式各样的朋友，他们来来去去。
You know, we're born with mothers and fathers, but then in course of time, mother and father, they grow old and then they leave the body, And where they leave us, they go off.
我们出生，我们有自己的父母，但是我们父母逐渐的就会年迈体衰，最终离我们而去。
And you may get married and have children, but the children will grow up and they may go away and leave you.
您可能结婚生子，但是这些孩子长大成人，然后就离你而去了。
But the person who's always with you, who's the real friend, is Krishna.
但是那个始终跟您在一起的，那个你真正的朋友是 Krishna。
And just try to keep that relationship. Always remember your real friend.
只是努力的去保持这种关系，他是你真正的朋友。
Okay.
下一个是毛毛，顶拜咕噜的莲花族，顶拜您。如何分辨是自己的缺点，还是受打扰了？如何做到不受打扰，保持自己的本性？如何做到忍耐呢？ So dear Gurudev, obeisance to lotus feet. How do we distinguish whether when there are events happen, whether is this due to our shortcomings or that we are disturbed? How can we remain undisturbed and keep remain our own nature? How to become tolerant?
Yes. We can remain undisturbed and we can remain tolerant by taking shelter of Krishna, by remembering Krishna and remembering that Krishna is the ultimate controller.
我们通过脱避 Krishna， 通过记住 Krishna， 记住 Krishna 是终极的控制者，来不受打扰，保持忍耐。
And our duty is to surrender to Krishna and to follow his instructions.
我们的职责是向 Krishna 臣服，听 Krishna 的训示。
Krishna has given us instructions like surrender to him and cultivate the mode of goodness.
Krishna 训示我们要向他臣服，要培养善良属性。
And when we do these things, then we will please Krishna.
如果我们这样去做的，就能够取悦 Krishna。
But if we start to be independent and do what we like without following rules and regulations, without remembering Krishna's teachings, then we're under the modes of passion and ignorance and we will suffer.
但是如果我们独立行事，我行我素，然后也不遵守任何规则，不记住 Krishna 的教导，那我们就是处于愚昧属性和激情属性，结果就是受苦。
And the sign that we're suffering is that we start to become passionate and angry and emotional. We don't control our senses and mind.
受苦的征兆就是我们变得特别的情绪化，变得愤怒，变得特别的激动，然后我们控制不了自己的感官，控制不了自己的心意。
So we can see we haven't surrendered to Krishna.
我们就能看到我们并没有臣服 Krishna。
Okay.
下面。Oh, no more questions. It says thank you so much.
Okay, thank you all very much. Thank you, Guru Mani, for translation. And thank all the devotees for their participation and questions. And we'll meet tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada.
Yes. 那非常感谢大家的聆听，明天见。
Srila Prabhupada ki.
赞。
Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki.
chapter 4. Should I ask if anyone remembers anything?